So anyways,
yes,
if you can hear
I
me,
you.
then that's all that matters. Good afternoon. You're in Arizona, right? So it's still, we're on the same time.
I'm in Arizona, and you know, if you don't live in Arizona, you probably don't know that we actually have our own time zone, which
That's
freaks
right.
everybody out, and everyone's like, wait, what time are you on? So like at least twice a year, I freak out, and I'm like, oh my God, do I have to resend all of my meeting requests? So I just keep everything on Pacific time now.
That's right, because you guys don't do daylight savings time.
No, we don't.
Right. So
Not
does
at
that,
all.
I didn't even think about asking you that. Does that completely mess you up like all the time?
It does, because I have this weird mental block where it's like, if you ever had like a nightmare where you don't graduate from a class, or like you miss some class like all of
Yes.
high school, it's like, it's one of those things where like twice a year I'm like, wait a minute, did I put these all in the wrong time? And I have like all, because I work with people all over, and I'm like, am I on the wrong time? Do I have to like change? I have nightmares about time zones. It's awful.
What is going on over in the Peitz household right now? How are you doing?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, we have really learned a lot of new skills.
Okay.
So far, Brian hasn't colored my hair yet.
Yeah.
That's a whole situation of its own. I'm doing my nails, which is going well. I don't know if you can see this, but like not
Beautiful.
well. Like I have stuff like peeling off all of my nails. Thank God I got my eyebrows tattooed, because I don't have to worry about those. We've been cutting, you know, the boys' hair, and we've been homeschooling, which, you know, some days ends in me screaming across the hallway, shut up, because I'm on a webinar. And there are days that we don't do any work. I'm like, watch your iPad, and I'm like, great.
Yeah. How old are you? How old are your kids or kids?
So Mason is 7, and
Okay.
yeah, so he's in 1st grade, and I gotta tell you, like, just wait until you start doing math for 1st grade. You're like, wait, just carry the 1. Like, I don't get it. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's different now, right? It's a whole new system.
It's a totally new world. And thank God for Google. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's see. How do I do this? And it's like all boxes and 10s and 1s and drawing things. And I'm like, yeah.
What, so you and I met, well, I mean, we've met in person at Inman, and then now we've, you know, spoke together at Inman and just met through the conference circuit, probably, I don't know, 2-3 years ago that we've actually met in person, but I've followed you on social media for years. So
that is where we started.
Correct.
We were on a controversial site back then. Now we're on TikTok, which is also a controversial site.
It's so funny, and I was going to jump into it because you've made the total progression. We met on Snapchat originally, and you wrote a book about Snapchat. Like, so you were all in on Snapchat, and then went to Instagram, and now even into TikTok. But tell me, and so in case anybody's watching, or we're going to repurpose this and make it a podcast and stuff like that. So for anybody who doesn't know who you are, tell me a little bit about what you do.
So my 1-sentence bio is, I've been in the industry over 21 years. I was a licensed realtor. I got licensed in 2001. I say BF before Facebook.
Okay.
So I did things the old-fashioned way. You know, I actually got out of the business when the crash happened, because it was really difficult sitting in front of, you know, families at their kitchen counter and then saying, we don't know what to do. We're losing our house. Can you help us? And it was a time when we hadn't really gone through that. So we didn't really know the answers, and it was very stressful, and it just really got to me. And so I wanted to stay in the industry. So I kind of went on to the other side. So now I work for F&F. I'm their National Director of Social Sales. So I'm still working with all of our amazing like real estate community. But I'm just actually not a realtor any longer. I was licensed for 18 years, and I was like, I can't let it go, because that test, I don't want to retest and take it. But yeah, so it's been fun. So I've kind of been through all the things.
When you say F&F, that's Fidelity National, right?
Yes, Fidelity National Financial.
Which is, in essence, in our real estate world, that's all the title companies that you think of, right? So Chicago Title, it's like a whole small, shameless plug there. So with that being said, you do basically coaching for Fidelity National Title agents, right?
Yeah, so I am internal. I coach all of our employees, whether that's our leadership teams, our sales people, our escrow teams, and our marketing people. I basically try to, you know, take my brain out and give it to them and say, here you go. So it's a really unique program. We're like really the only company that I know of that really sort of has that internally. So yeah, I'm just teaching social media, you know, every day, which is pretty awesome. And it changes too. So it's not like 100%. I'm doing the repeat stuff every time.
Yeah, 100%. And since then, even since I've known you, you've now written your third book, right? Second book.
Third. I do not want to write another book.
Okay, well, I'm gonna jump into that in a second. So you did the Snapchat book, and then you did What to Post.
Yes.
Okay, got it. So yeah, 2 books, and then you're an accomplished stage speaker at this point. In fact, to the point where you ran the Inman Las Vegas whole afternoon circuit for the last couple of days. You were in charge of putting together the speakers. Yeah, so you've done a lot of big things outside of just coaching.
Yeah.
And every time, like when I posted you today, I've got so many DMs that are like, I love Chelsea. That's like the underlying thing is that you are,
when I talk about
you are the most popular woman.
Awesome.
You are the most popular woman in the real estate industry when it comes to digital and social media.
Thank you.
So you do coaching for a lot of real estate agents and or title reps across the country. What would you say is the biggest, pivot is the most overused word right now, but what is the biggest like morph that you've seen in the last 2 months, you know, since the whole COVID thing kind of kicked in in regards to real estate marketing?
Okay, so I think we could take this so many different places, and I'm going to talk a little bit about like the different platforms too. What I can tell you, and you and I knew this, but this was so driven home in the last, like, I think I'm on day 55, and I think something like that, that I realized, whoa, like this is the only way I'm seeing people. The only way. I mean, outside of maybe Zoom calls where nobody can find you unless you're on the call with them. This was my lifeline to the world. Yeah. And it was my only sense of normalcy, that I could open up an Instagram story and I could see you and friends and family and people that I normally talk to every single day. And for that moment, I felt normal. I didn't feel stressed. I didn't feel completely anxious. I went through all the stages, right, that everybody else did. And I realized, wow, I already knew that it was like that powerful, but it really is true that you can use technology to be more human and to have relationships and to be connected. And I thought, this isn't going to go away. When we go back to normal, people have already, they're like, oh, social media, gotta do it, gotta be on there. Zoom calls, we can do virtual meetings. I don't think that's gonna change even when we go back to sort of what we've been doing. And I also want to talk about sort of platforms like, you know, TikTok was like, this is great, you know, it's people are either Netflixing or they're on TikTok. So they've had one of their biggest explosions in downloads and adoption. I mean, the average person is spending 52 minutes a day on TikTok and opening it 8 times. So
yeah, it's addicting. It's so addicting. And we joke that like Peloton, Zoom, and TikTok are like the 3 big winners of this whole last couple of months, because everybody's at home and finding things to do and exploring new things like TikTok. And it's really, really addicting when you get into it, right? And I am going to bring that up. In fact, maybe that's a good way to jump into it, and then I'll push the other stuff later. So you were really big, and you had a big following on Snapchat. That's where we met. You moved your following, in a sense, over to Instagram, and you still, I would assume you're still on Snapchat, right? Or you still have the Snapchat, or I don't know.
You know what, I still do, but most of my friends, even like some that were holdouts, have come over to Instagram. And I mean, I'm just a big believer in just pick one platform that you feel like you can do. I get overwhelmed. Like, I don't want to be everywhere all the time. It's just overwhelming. So I just thought, you know what, whatever you focus on expands, and I'm just going to go here. And, you know, one day if they die, we'll all go somewhere else.
Yeah, and now that's morphed a little bit into TikTok. And so you're one of the few people that have successfully made the move, and you now have more followers on TikTok than you do on Instagram. I don't know if you knew that, because you're really close.
Yeah, it's so weird. And here's the thing with TikTok, like, I think it's just early adopter, right? So if we had done this with Instagram when it came out, or YouTube, or whatever it is, you know, early adopter is always, you know, first to market, people who just go there. And the way that the algorithm works currently on TikTok, I think in some ways it's similar to Facebook and Instagram, but it's different too, because it's new and there's not like an oversaturation, and they're learning and they're promoting and they want people to come back. They're heavy into the behavior training, and they're doing a great job, because people are addicted. And, you know, so when you have something that can go viral, I don't have anything that's ever gone viral on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, because those are established platforms that are pretty saturated. Anybody could have something potentially go viral on TikTok. And when that happens, it gives everything else a big push. And so, you know, I think a lot of that was, I know it was completely by accident. I had no strategy. You know, I'm not a TikTok expert. It's not my favorite platform. I watch it for entertainment, but I think that's what a lot of success has looked like, has been like, oh my gosh, I got 30,000 views on this. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, you know, people just follow. But I can't say that, like Instagram, when I connect with people, I usually will find that they talk to me on my stories and we get into more of like a relationship, so to speak, whereas I haven't experienced that on TikTok.
Yeah, me neither. And I don't have as many. I mean, for the most part, I've just put my 105th video or something like that. So I've crossed 100 videos on TikTok,
Wow.
but I don't have the following per se. I've had 2 or 3 videos that got some virality to it, over 100,000. You know what I mean? Like bigger videos, but that didn't necessarily translate into a lot of messages or comments. Or, you know what I mean? There's a couple videos, but it's different at this point with Instagram, and you know, following on Instagram, we get way more engagement, I think, at this point. And so I don't know if it's still because we're in the growth, you know, growing our followings on TikTok phase. And then as that starts to establish, maybe we'll start to get more engagement, but I haven't seen it much there.
I think it's definitely going to have to evolve, and here's why. Just like Snapchat. So you and I can speak from like, we've already been through this, right?
Yes,
we're on the platform that people were like, ew, Snapchat.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Why are you there? And you're not going to get any business. You're not going to get any brand. Kids are on there, whatever. But when Snapchat got bigger, they had to evolve, because when you become a public company and all of that, you have to put regulations in place, all of that guidelines. There's a lot of controversy going on right now with TikTok and data and what kind of content is on there. And, you know, as they get bigger, they will evolve. They just got really big, really fast, and probably hadn't planned for that. Yeah. And so it's going to change. It's going to evolve. And that's probably going to be a good thing. And then the virality stuff will go away. Hey, TikTok didn't send me a t-shirt when I went 1 million views on one thing. I was like, oh, nothing happened.
Yeah, nothing happened. Fine. Yeah, and it'll go, and you're right, it's going to morph, and that's going to be, that's a good thing. And you know what? And what I've said to some people, because every time I talk about it, it's 50% are like, hell no, and then 50% are like, yeah, I'm learning it. This may be the thing for the next 6 months, and this might not even stick, but the skills that you learned, like recording short form video, might be the next thing that, you know, you can be an early adopter on. Or say, you know, I mean, we always like to say Instagram kind of killed Facebook. What if Facebook kills TikTok with their own version of this, but that short form thing that you just learned on TikTok is what makes you successful on Facebook?
You're 100% right. And that's why I tell people that you need to pay attention to TikTok, because what's going to happen is it's going to TikTok guys, Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
And what you can learn on there, and a lot of people use TikTok for the editing. They don't even post anything. It's an excellent editing platform.
Yeah.
It's got a lot more stuff than Instagram has in it, which makes it overwhelming for people and like kind of scary, because there's all these different things you can do with it.
Yes.
But it's what you're going to learn. And what happens is people's expectation is they go to TikTok and they laugh and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe somebody just posted that. They go to Facebook and Instagram and they're like, this is kind of boring now.
Right, yeah.
So the expectation is going to be for that to start happening.
100%. I love hearing your back end like analogies and your theory on what's going to happen with that. It's so insightful. One of the questions I really wanted to get to you is that you work with some of the best agents and title reps across the country when it comes to marketing. What are some things that the best people out there, the best procurers, content creators are doing that sets them apart from other people?
So, I mean, I hate, and I'm not trying to like, you know, like suck up or anything, but I'm going to use you as an example.
Okay, so this was not planned.
You do a great job. You do a great content job. And I was just on a webinar before this, and it's a question I get all the time, and I'm sure you do as well, is, well, wait a minute. But if I do content like that, that's how will people know I'm a real estate agent? Right. If I'm not constantly posting just listed, just sold, newsletters that are text heavy, you know, how to take title or whatever. Yeah. And it's really important to be remembering that in 2020 and beyond, like, this is your personal brand. 100%. Whether you like it or not, like Nike spends millions of dollars to borrow people's faces because it's about your personal brand. And then people think it has to in terms of real estate. And I'm like, no. Let's think in terms of Uber, Amazon, TikTok, all of these things. We start to get used to seeing the reality show. And if you don't show up there, we don't even know what's happening. We're like, I don't know. I'm going to go with somebody whose reality show is there or has 30 videos on YouTube and you have none.
Yes.
So unfortunately, that's how we make decisions today, is what kind of content you have. And as far as like the kind of content that I see really resonating with people, of course you have to do educational content. You have to build credibility. You have to say, I'm an expert in my space. But also, you want to show that you're a human being,
Yep.
right? And you've seen my content. I drop a lot of marketing tips, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get more comments on, do you like this type of ranch or this type of ranch? And I'm like,
100%.
really? I just told you how to make money with Instagram, and you want to talk about ranch dressing? It blows my mind. So, there's magic in the mundane, right? It's human. It's relatable. We want to know that we're all kind of in the same world together. And I think the people that blend that or aren't afraid to sort of, let people in behind the curtain a little bit, those people, that content's getting a lot more engagement.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, you nailed it. Especially as real estate agents, we don't sell a widget, right? We don't sell ranch dressing or a plant or a little single item. We sell ourselves. We're in the service business, and someone's looking to hire somebody to help sell their home. So they really want to connect with us on a human level. So showing some behind the scenes type stuff, vlogs, things like that, that's really just documenting what you do on a daily basis, as opposed to showing off the housing side of it. And there's a place for that too. You have to know how to run a Facebook ad and collect a lead and stuff like that. But there's the marketing side of it. It's all about your brand, because people want to work with people like them. And that's the biggest thing.
And then we forget too that, like, especially through stories format, I think that it does the selling for you, which is this really weird thing. It's like the celebrity effect. None of us think of ourselves as celebrities, right? But you have a vibe about a celebrity. I've never met like a famous celebrity, but I like, oh yeah, no, I like them. I really like them. Well, how would I know? They could be like a horrible person, but you have this feeling that because you've seen them in a role that you like them. So when you're a real estate agent or a mortgage person or somebody who has a service to sell, and they watch you, because we all love the stock, right?
100%. Yep.
And they watch you and they're like, oh my God, they're like, I love your son. I have a first grader too. And I have a kid that wears glasses, and they've already bought in. They've already decided you're the person.
Yes.
But they're just going to go through with the interview because they feel like they have to.
I'm not going to lie. Mason's kind of the star of the show. When it comes to Chelsea Peitz's Instagram, Mason is legit the star of the show. I think I find myself laughing at his commentary more so than anything else that you're posting. But that goes into it, right? Because you've opened the window a little bit and shown behind the scenes and the curtain that makes you who you are. And a big portion of that is your son, right? So it's like that. He's done such a good job. I mean, his content is just on point.
I wish I could get all of it on camera because it's funny.
Yeah. Okay, so we mentioned this before. You wrote a couple books. And so now it sounds like that might be the last of the books, because the way you said it.
I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. It didn't work the last time, but I'm not writing any more books.
Why? Like, what's the process like of writing a book? What did it do for you? All that jazz behind writing a book. Because I know that there's some people, even in my circle within the real estate space, that have talked about writing a book. And I know a couple that have books coming out.
Yeah. So I personally love the process, even though I hate the process. Like, I kind of miss it because I feel like there's like something that got me up every day, and I was like, gosh, I'm so excited to like, do this and finish it, and can't wait to like get it to the world. And I felt like I had a purpose, and I loved it, and it was, but I hated it too. I was like, why is this working? Why am I not having a creative process? Why can't I redo this? And so it was really hard too, but it takes a lot from you. I mean, at least for me, I don't know how other people's writing processes are. I'm not a good process person. Like, people would probably be horrified. I don't know if you remember way back in the day when I was writing the first book, where I had one story that I remember people freaked out about. And I took all the pages of my book, like printed out, and I cut up the sentences and like literally like piece them like a puzzle, like reorganize them on the like 13-foot like dining room table. People were like, oh, really? She's lost it. Yeah. But that's how my brain worked, right? And it was like super crazy. I think I did lose it. But it takes a lot of time away from family, because I was working on it. I was working, and then I would work on it at nights and on weekends and during plane rides, and so it's a lot. But I think everybody should do it.
What to Post was the most recent one, and I actually bought that for my team, and we read through it a couple of times, like a couple of the sections in our team meetings. Talk to me a little bit about that book and like what the feedback you've gotten from that book specifically has been.
So I wrote that book because it was the #1 question I got. And so I really actually kind of did it for me because I wanted all my stuff in one place in an order that made sense, that if I was going to help somebody make content. So it was almost like, you know, I already had a lot of the stuff, but I had never kind of put it together in like an order. And so I did it a lot for me, but I thought to myself, what would I want? I want somebody to give me a workbook and tell me exactly step by step how to do it. I don't want high level. You have to give value and be authentic. Like, okay, what does authentic mean?
Right.
And so I wrote it really for my type of brain, and I hope it's resonated with a lot of people. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on it. And, you know, I just really wanted to help people and be like, here's what other people are doing that are in your industry that you can apply and make your own. And, you know, like you read it. It's not like I invented Facebook's algorithm. They posted it on their blog. So I'm just saying, hey, by the way, here's what they've said. Here's how you could, you know, maybe apply it. So it's just kind of putting resources in one place.
I think it's the most practical, tactical book that I've read on social media posting. And if you're a real estate agent, you should go pick it up. It's called What to Post. Literally will tell you, like, on Tuesday, post what's your favorite coffee shop in X city. And then when the comments come in, here's what you say back to them. Like, it literally tells you on Wednesday. And it's the most tactical, practical thing that I've read, because you're right. Most of the time with books, especially blogs, I feel like you can get more tactical, but with books, people try to go high level because they feel like it's a book. I have to go high level. And so, and that's one of the reasons why, and taking it back to 2009, I guess, Crush It, which was a Gary Vaynerchuk book, his original book, I feel like is still his best, like most tactical book.
Totally.
Because it's like, this is YouTube. Here's how you post a video. This is what the tag is. You know what I mean? It was very practical.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it was, I thought you did a really, really good job. Switching over to the stage speaking side of things. We've spoke together on stages before. In fact, Inman Vegas was, I think, the biggest stage I've ever spoke on, and that you were in charge of putting together the roster for that, but you have done stage speaking for years. How did you get into that space? What was like your start? Not necessarily like I took public speaking, got good, but like, how did you get into like the Inman world or the stage speaking world? Do you have an agent? You know what I mean? Like, how'd that go?
No, so I didn't have an agent. I had no experience. None at all. I've never taken any kind of like how to speak on stage or anything like that, which is kind of my style. I like to actually do the thing and figure it out so then I can help people, you know, do it. And so what I will tell you is if you want to start speaking, it's just like doing video. You actually, the first like 20 speaking things you do, which are going to be very small, like you're going to speak for free for years. Panel interviews, things like that. It's not going to be great. Like it's not going to be great. You're going to be like, oh, and you're going to freak out before you go on stage, and you might black out and not know what you said, and that's totally fine. That's part of your process. But what I'd recommend doing is finding like one topic that you're really good at talking about. And then, you know, for Inman, I wrote for them. Said, hey, how can I give to you guys? How can I help you? I would call associations, say, how can I help you? And it started by accident. I had 1 or 2 people in my company ask me if I could show them how to do a few things. And then that turned into more people and more people. And then they're like, hey, I've got some clients that want to learn how to do this. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe we should put a class together. And so that's how it really evolved. And then when you decide, and there's not that many real estate related places to speak, so it's easy to do some Google searching and find out about them. But then you have to come with a lot of value. You know, can I, you know, help you with content? Can I volunteer at Inman as an ambassador? So if you can kind of lead with bringing value to them, I'd highly recommend it. Now, if people want to do also just, it's great for branding. That's how I built my community. CE classes. I mean, we all in real estate need to take CE classes, and many states, because I am certified in a lot of states to teach CE classes, you probably can get something certified, and you could teach and, you know, be branded amongst your other fellow colleagues. And if, you know, people end up wanting to work with you, great. That's
Yeah.
Even better, building a team. Not that you would solicit them, but they're going to know who you are and you're going to create those relationships. So I would start with associations, but you got to know what you want to talk about. So you have to work on your PowerPoint, your slide deck. You really need to give tactical, how to step by step. I feel like that's what we want. We want to know the secret. We want to know
For
how.
sure. Because just like with the book, stage speaking too, especially at these big conferences like Inman, can get very high level. And I think it's, when you get people who, maybe it's their first time on stage, or, they want to make a splash, so they're going to play it safe with the high level stuff that they've heard from stage speaking and stuff like that. But more than anything, the people in the stands or the seats, they want to hear exactly what Instagram ad you ran that got you that business.
Exactly.
And so if you can find a way to convey that through your presentation, you'll win. But you're right. I think you're absolutely right. The same way that I did, I wrote for Inman. I just did guest submissions, and then I submitted their Inman speaker form. And then luckily I had some panels under my belt because I had done, I think it was like a title company that put on a panel that I had done. So I was able, because when you submit for Inman, they ask for like past times that you spoke. And so I was able to submit those videos that I had done on the smaller scale before you can go up to the bigger scale.
And don't let that stop you. Record a video of yourself presenting.
100%, because you have to have something to get on to the first one too. So if that's what it is again, if you go back to the basics of submitting like an educational series and you just start filming yourself on Instagram, now you have some clout, that you can show off.
Yeah, and don't feel bad because I still have to submit a submission to speak at Inman.
Yeah, everybody does. Yeah, unless you're Mauricio or Ryan Serhant or something, everybody does, right? Okay, we're up to 30 minutes, so I want to ask you one more question because I want to be respectful of your time. What is one tangible takeaway that you've been coaching most recently, or that someone watching this?
You're spinning. Wait a minute. I've lost you for a second.
Am I still here? Tell me when I'm back.
Hold on. Repeat it, because you were paused for a minute. So what was your last question?
Am I back? Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. Back. So the last question is basically, what is one tangible takeaway that someone watching this right now, or something that you've been teaching over the past couple months, that they can take away and put into practice today in their real estate marketing business?
Okay, this is going to be the easiest way you've ever built your brand, and it's 100% effective on any platform. So my mantra, you've heard me say this a million times over the last year, my mantra is less contenting and more commenting. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe that, and this is how the algorithms work, you can become a super fan for somebody else's content. And let me tell you, you can send me a handwritten thank you note to my mailbox, but I go to my mailbox once every 2 weeks. So if you want to get my attention and you want to be visible and in front of your client base, your comments can become content. It doesn't mean you just never post, right?
Right.
But you can do that. You can spend 10 minutes a day and go in and comment on your clients and your past clients and say multiple word, full sentence comments. Yep. And then in like 2, 3, 4 weeks, they're seeing your content all the time because you train that algorithm. And people tell us, I'm sure you all the time, oh my God, how much time do you spend on like content? I'm like, not much. I mean, maybe 5 minutes in total a day making all my Instagram stories, but that's not much. But the perception is that you're everywhere, which is exactly what we want to have happen. Correct. And we want it to be in a way that's about the person. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And we remember comments. Like sometimes on Instagram, I won't know somebody's name, but I say, what's your username? And they'll tell me, I'm like, yes, I know who you are. So they do brand, and they also give notifications. So they're going to ping your notification, and you're going to see that person's little profile pic in their name. So more commenting, less contenting.
That's such good advice. I think we call it, with my team, I call it getting in the trenches, but literally just going and both responding to the comments on your posts, because I think it's the rudest thing in the world when someone comments on your post and you don't comment back. You would never do that in a face-to-face conversation. If someone walked up and said, hey, good post or good whatever, and you wouldn't say thank you back or something. But then also what you're saying is absolutely right. On other people's posts, just commenting and getting, and not like nice pic, but actually having a sentence to say, it has so much intangible stuff. Like you said, just the branding of having your name next to a comment, that's money. That's really, really good advice. Often overlooked. Chelsea.
No excuses, because everybody can comment. It's free. Everybody has the ability to comment.
100%. You're literally just talking on social media, and we all know how to have a whole conversation, right? Chelsea, this was amazing. Thank you so much for taking 30 minutes out of your busy Thursday and doing this. I'm going to cut this up, put it onto Facebook and YouTube and a podcast. So thank you so much. You're awesome.
All right. Thanks again. Great to see you.
For sure. Bye.
See you later. Bye.